Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here with us today. We are tackling something incredibly powerful, transforming your everyday financial anxiety into a rock-solid, impenetrable financial fortress. If you're looking for focused, direct, and proven ways to build real wealth, you are in exactly the right place. So let's just dive right in. Right off the bat, here's a kind of uncomfortable question for you. Why do smart, capable, incredibly hardworking people stay stuck in the rat race their entire lives? We often tell ourselves it's about a lack of intelligence or maybe missing out on some complex college finance class or just plain bad luck. But here is the brutal truth. It is almost never bad luck. It's actually about a few quiet, boring money mistakes that silently compound against you over time. Listen to this profound observation drawn from over 75 years of watching real people with real paychecks navigate the market. Through 15 recessions, wars, a pandemic, I have never once seen a patient, debt-free investor go permanently broke. Not once. This hits on the absolute core difference between a true investor and a speculator. Because building wealth, it isn't about being loud or flashy. It's about quiet, boring, relentless consistency. Okay, to build our fortress, we first need to lay the blueprint. Let's strip away all the complex accounting jargon and just use a brilliantly simple definition. Ready? An asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That's literally it. If you want to become financially independent, your ultimate goal is simply to own more assets and reduce your liabilities. Because at the end of the day, your assets minus your liabilities equals your net worth. Section 1. The leaks in your moat. The 5 money mistakes keeping you poor. Now that we have our blueprint, we really need to address the structural flaws in our financial fortress. Mistake number 1 is what experts call the liability disguise. People love to call their primary home an asset, but a house has a mouth, and that mouth needs feeding every single month. You've got property taxes, insurance, the roof that suddenly fails, the furnace that dies. It is an upkeep toll. The speculator buys the absolute most house the bank will allow, effectively turning their fortress into a beautiful, granite-countered cage. But the investor, they buy a home that is comfortably affordable on just one income. They treat shelter as shelter, and they use their spare capital to buy true assets that actually put money back into their pockets. The next massive leaks in the moat are what we can call funding the borrowed bonfire. This is taking borrowed money you don't even technically have yet, and setting it on fire for warmth that doesn't last. This includes the double burn of financing cars that lose a third of their value the absolute second you drive them off the lot while you pay interest on that shrinking value. It includes chasing get-rich-quick schemes or, playing rat poison roulette with crypto and lightning chasing. It also includes financing the costume of wealth, which is inflating your lifestyle the second you get a raise just to keep up appearances for an audience that isn't even really watching. And finally, it's living with an empty vault, just spending every single dollar straight back out. And this brings us to the multiply by zero rule. When it comes to chasing those get-rich-quick lightning strikes, you gotta remember that survivorship bias is not a strategy. You only hear about the winners. Mathematically, it doesn't matter how many smart, careful decisions you've made over 15 years. If one reckless, speculative bet wipes your account to zero, well, 0 times anything brilliant is still 0. Section 2. Escaping the debt trap. Patching the biggest leaks. If you are ever in a tight financial month, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau emphasizes that you really have to weigh the risk of making a late payment. Because not all debt is created equal, and falling behind on secured debt can be incredibly dangerous. So let's break that down into some actionable steps. If you are struggling, here's exactly how you prioritize patching your moat. Step 1. Pay the debts needed to keep your job, like your auto loan, so you can actually keep earning money. Step 2. Debts to stay housed and keep the utilities on. Step 3, court-ordered obligations, like child support. And finally, Step 4, your absolute lowest priority in a crisis, are unsecured debts like credit cards and collections. Yes, a late credit card payment totally hurts your credit score, but losing your car means you lose your job, and losing your home means you're on the street. You have to prioritize survival. Once you are stable, you need a strategy to eliminate that debt entirely. You essentially have 2 choices here. You can start off small, paying off the smallest balances first to get those quick psychological wins and free up some monthly cash flow. Or you can attack the highest interest rate first. Now, that is mathematically the cheapest route over the long haul, though it might take a bit longer to actually feel like you're making progress. Ultimately, you just need to pick the strategy that will actually keep you motivated to stay the course. Section 3. Building your emergency vault, the bedrock of the fortress. 6 to 12. That is the magic number. Financial experts emphasize that you need to save in multiples of your monthly expenses. You want an emergency cushion that can take care of 6 to 12 months of your basic living costs. And you want that parked in highly liquid, low volatility instruments. Think high yield savings accounts or liquid mutual funds. And why is this so absolutely crucial? Because this vault changes everything. It prevents you from relying on high-cost personal loans or credit cards when life inevitably happens. Just think about it. A flat tire without an emergency fund is a sleep-stealing crisis. With an emergency fund, that exact same flat tire is just a mere inconvenience. Building this vault stops fear-based financial decisions. Starting to invest in your safety today builds psychological strength, whereas waiting just builds fear. Which brings us to another highly uncomfortable question for you. When you receive a paycheck, who do you pay first? Seriously, think about it. If you are like most people in the rat race, you pay your mortgage, the grocery store, the utility company, and the insurance agent first. And then you try to save whatever is left over, which, let's be honest, is usually nothing.
Section 4. Always pay yourself first. Feeding the asset column.
One highly effective way to shift this mindset is the 10-10-10 plan. Before you pay a single bill, you take a percentage right off the top. 10% into savings, 10% into investing to buy those income-producing assets, and 10% for charity. Then you live off the remaining 70%. Now, this requires immense self-discipline for sure, but it ensures that your money is moving and working for you before the temptation to spend it ever kicks in. Now, if the 10-10-10 split doesn't quite fit your current reality, here is a really pragmatic alternative from Fidelity. They suggest budgeting 60% for essential expenses, 30% for the non-essential fun stuff, the nice-to-haves, 10% for near-term goals and emergency savings, and 15% pre-tax for retirement. Having a defined framework like this is literally the only way to avoid lifestyle creep, that invisible trop where your spending magically rises to swallow every extra dollar of your brand new raise. So what happens when you pay yourself first and the remaining cash flow comes up short for a bill? The golden rule is this: let the pressure build. Do not raid your asset column to bail yourself out. Poor habits mean dipping into your savings just to pay the bills. The wealthy? They let that financial pressure inspire them to figure out entirely new ways to generate more income. Never, ever subtract from your asset column just to add to your liability column. Section 5. The quiet oak tree. The invisible nature of real wealth. As we talked about earlier, the speculator is loud. They're checking stock prices 6 times before lunch, feeling every single gut punch of the market, entirely driven by the anxiety of the herd. But the true investor? The investor plans past the horizon and forgets the password. True wealth is built like an oak tree. It grows slowly, relentlessly, and it grows underground first. The quiet engine of compound interest doesn't need your daily excitement to function. It just needs your patience, and quite frankly, your absence. So here is your master blueprint, all in one place. Stop confusing shelter with a fortune. Treat your home as shelter and buy real assets. Borrow only for things that put a paycheck in your pocket, never to fund a depreciating bonfire. If you are in debt, prioritize the highest risk secured debt first. Protect your peace of mind by building that 6 to 12-month emergency vault. And above all, have the discipline to habitually pay yourself first. Now look, don't try to fix all of this on a random Tuesday afternoon. Just pick one brick to patch today. Just one. I want to leave you with this final, vital question to ask yourself every single time you open your wallet from now on. Will this next purchase build your fortress or just fund a bonfire? The choice is entirely yours. Keep building brick by quiet brick. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.